Oh my god, this ruins everything! Good morning and welcome to Whenever You Are. I am Bandit Haze, and today I'm going to be talking about this whole Bethesda withholding review copies of their game situation thingy. Now real quick, for those who don't know, recently Bethesda announced that from here on out they are going to continue their policy of releasing review copies of games to critics one day before release so that they may have it at the same time as people who be buying the game. They went on to say that the reason why they're doing this is because they want the critics to experience the game at the same time as their fans. And to ease anybody's mind who might be thinking they're just trying to push out shitty games and avoid the shitty reviews before the games go and sell, they gave Doom as an example of a time when they withheld the game review copies until the day before release. People thought it might be a shit game, but it turned out to garner some critical and commercial success. Now there has been a few YouTubers have talked about this already and a few articles that I've read as well, but so far everyone is of the same opinion that this is going to spell doom and gloom for the gaming industry. Well, everybody but one who just didn't really care either way. Now to be fair, maybe doom and gloom is a little bit of an exaggeration, but you know, YouTubers, we tend to exaggerate things, so you know, it's what we do. But certainly people think it's a bad thing. Now there's a bunch of reasons why people are saying this is a bad thing, but the main ones tend to be that it doesn't give the reviewer enough time to write a fully fledged review in time for the game's release, which in turn means the consumer doesn't really have an informed opinion to go on before making a purchasing decision. They believe the reason why Bethesda are doing this is because they want people to pre-order the game and buy the game before any potential negative press hits. Ultimately, they believe it is an anti-consumer move on the part of Bethesda and any other company who partakes in such behavior. Now here's the thing. I don't disagree with what other people have been saying about this previously, but I do believe there is another side to this. And not only may this move not matter at all in the slightest, it might actually even be a good thing that other companies should follow suit on. Now I'm going to explain what I mean by that, but first let me acknowledge that Bethesda are actually being just a tad hypocritical with this whole we want critics to experience the game at the same time as consumers, because they have sent at least one YouTuber a pre-release version of Skyrim Special Edition, so yeah, there is that. But in any case, the act of withholding all review copies till release date could potentially be a good thing, and here's why I think why. Now first of all, of course Bethesda want people to pre-order their game. Every company wants people to pre-order their games, that's just a given. However, the thing about pre-orders is that they do not guarantee sales. Now if you are pre-ordering from a reputable company like say Amazon for example, you do not pay a penny until that game is shipped. The only time you'd have to pay for pre-orders up front is if you're pre-ordering some porno anime game from one of these dodgy backstreet shops. You have to go in there with a long raincoat, collar turned up and a hat on and hope that nobody recognizes you. You're paying cash so there's no credit card record of it. I mean, you know, so I've heard. Anyway, the point is they don't guarantee sales. What they do is that they give the publishers, developers and retailers an idea of how many people are interested in that game. Now of course that's still important information to know, but now we've got to consider the type of person that pre-orders a game. Now if you're the type of person that pre-orders games, especially if you do it on a regular basis, then chances are the most important thing to you is to get that game day one. And if that's the case, then you're probably not overly concerned about whether the reviews are positive or negative. So the fact that there's no reviews at the time of the game's release isn't going to affect your decision to buy the game or not. You're going to buy that game anyway. Now you get the game and maybe it turns out to be great, maybe it turns out to be terrible. The only thing you can be certain of when pre-ordering games to get them on day one is that it is going to be riddled with bugs. They'll patch it up sometime down the line, unless it's Arkham Knight, and in which case they maybe might sorta-ish possibly fix it. Now if you are the type who prefers to wait for reviews, then ipso facto you're probably not overly concerned about getting that game day one. Even if there are reviews available on release, you might want to wait until a specific review goes live, or maybe wait until other people start talking about the game to see what they say before you decide whether to buy it or not. Which, by the way, is why at least a few people have decided not to buy No Man's Sky just yet. Now those are the reasons why at the very least that may not matter to a decent number of people. Here are the reasons why I think it could actually be beneficial. First of all, it puts everybody on an even keel. As a consumer, when you watch or read somebody's review, you're no longer thinking about whether they're only saying it's a good game because they got an early review copy and they want to keep getting more early review copies in the future. Now that said, plenty of other reasons why a person could be biased, but for the purposes of this particular video, we're just going to stick with that one. Also, the whole thing about how it doesn't give reviewers enough time to get a fully fledged review out in time for release, true. However, if your goal as a business is to provide fully fledged, well thought out reviews, then that stays the same regardless. The only people you're going to find rushing out their reviews are the people who are more interested in clicks and views than they are in providing you with the appropriate information. Now I get it, they're a business, they need to make money, and when a game is released, that's when most people are going to be searching for information on that game, so I 100% get it why you want to have something up on your site during that release period. However, any successful business would tell you that it is better to think long term than short term, meaning that if you're consistently putting out shitty reviews just for the sake of getting them out on time, eventually people will see through that and they will go somewhere else. The people who prefer to wait for reviews would prefer to wait for a good review before they make a decision. That's the whole point of them waiting for a review. In the end, I think this move possibly has the potential to remove at least some of the reviewer bias, and possibly has the potential to separate the money grabbing bastards from the people who actually want to deliver good information. But here's the thing though, I mean, as a consumer, there's a part where we have to accept that no matter how much research we may or may not put into something, no matter how many reviews we may or may not read, a game can still suck. There's no guarantee that you'll like the game or even get anything of value out of it, and that's just the way it is. The point I'm trying to make is that the power is always in the hands of the consumer, and if you do buy a game and you don't like it or it's a buggy mess, as long as you can return it, return it. Businesses will always do whatever it is they feel they can get away with doing, which is why we have things like Street Fighter V where they charge you full price for a game and then release it with like 2 or 3 modes or something, or Digital Homicide where they release the same game over and over again with a different skin, or Call of Duty where they release the same game over and over again with a different skin, or EA Sports where they release the same game over and over again with a different skin. The point is, the power is in the hands of the consumer. Because we've allowed these companies to get away with so much bullshit for so long, they keep doing it. So if you think this move on Bethesda's part is a shitty move, if you don't think they could be trusted to make good games and you'd rather have a review first before even thinking about it, then let that be known, and don't support the games until you get those reviews coming through. And if you do get the game and it turns to be shit, again, let that be known, return it if you can. Personally, I'm not sure if it's going to be a great move or a terrible move on Bethesda's part. I'm very much in the wait and see category, but I do think maybe certain people might need to calm their tits a little bit, you know. It might not be as bad as people are saying it is. And that is what I think of the Bethesda review policy. Villagers, what do you think? Does this spell doom? Or are you wondering what's all the fallout for? Are you praying it will turn out well? Or do you feel dishonored too? Let me know down below, and if you liked this video, give it a like and share it amongst your friends. If you did not like it, then give it a dislike and share it amongst your enemies. Either way, let me know your reasons in the comments. Subscribe if you have not already. Thank you for watching, and until whenever, if ever, it's in the game. Microsoft, let me have your ear for a minute. Microsoft, why do you make software that doesn't work with your own products? Also, why do I have to uninstall an app